Hello, Cublets. Welcome back to another Bear With me, BearElliott. Halloween is just around the corner, and nothing brings out the ghost hunter inside of each one of us than Halloween. Now, you might be wondering where you can get some ghost. I got ghost, and I have just the place that you want to look, specifically for queer ghost. Now, with sexuality just doesn't stick with us in the mortal realm. It goes into the afterlife as well. So, if you're looking for a ghost of a time, I got 3 locations that you might want to check out if you're looking for some queer ghosts. What's queer? Now, queer is kind of a broad term. Basically, it's LGBT. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Those of us that are very special in the society. Well, I have 20 years of ghost hunting background, and in my 20 years, I've come across some LGBT ghosts. It's kind of interesting because ghosts don't really come out and say, "Hey, I'm gay!" Well, not normally. I haven't run into that, but it does happen, I'm sure. But I've run into 3 locations that I think that you need to check out if you're looking for LGBT spirits. The first one, asylums. Yeah, this is kind of a duh kind of place to check out. Asylums, of course, are going to be one of the most haunted locations that you can find. Oftentimes, you're going to have to book times to go into a asylum. Oh, not the one that has patients in it, like ones that used to have asylums. Oftentimes, you're going to find them as well as going to be hospitals, but asylums in particular. Now, why do asylums have a lot of LGBT spirits? It's pretty simple. Until recently, our history in the LGBT, when you were gay, you were considered crazy. So if you were identified as LGBT, specifically a lot of times gay, I have run into some lesbian ghosts in asylums, but a lot of gay guys end up in asylums because they considered it, you're crazy. Well, they passed on in these areas, and that's where they kind of called it home. There was the only sense of community that they could find. So in the afterlife, when they've passed on, they've kind of stuck around. So if you're looking for an interesting place with some very, very sad stories of LGBT spirits, check out asylums. That's definitely a place that you want to look into. It's amazing the ghosts that you're going to find there. Next up, prisons. Now, we all have heard of the term prison gays. Well, it's not just prison gays that tend to stick around in prisons, especially when you've passed on. Gay men in particular, I haven't run into in my history any lesbians in a prison, because oftentimes you're investigating prisons that have a lot more men in them. I'm sure that lesbian spirits do hang around in prisons as well, but I've encountered some very, very cranky gay men that were passed on in prison and they stuck around, and that energy is still there in those prisons. Why, do you ask? Kind of similar to the asylum. Often, when a gay man was found out, he was sent to prison. It wasn't like he had a choice. That's where he was oftentimes attacked, abused, and was one of the lowest rungs on the ladder in prison. And if you were identified as a sissy in prison, that made it even worse. So prison gay goes even further for these particular spirits. They're actually gay men and women that are stuck in prison for all of eternity. So if you're looking for some interesting stories and some interesting spirits, some very, very angry spirits that happen to be LGBT, check out prisons. The last place that I'm going to suggest. Now, this one you're going to be like, oh, another one, duh, theaters. Now, theaters draw the gays. We love our theater. We're theatrical. We're thespians at heart. Well, the theater was a place for LGBT individuals to escape and to become who they are in private, because you could put on a mask and be a different person on stage. Oftentimes, the LGBT community ran these theaters. That was what they put their heart and their soul in. They want to make sure that that continues to this day. So, they stick around their theaters. One in particular story comes to mind when it comes to theater gays and theater spirits. This took place in Clearwater, Florida. We were investigating the Clearwater Theater, and there's several spirits that haunt this particular location. But up in the booth, where, it's the place where, like, the director and the lighting guys and everybody that's controlling the theatrics in the theater, this is where they are. It's up in the booth. Well, this particular booth was, it was huge. It was an apartment. And a previous owner of this theater, he was gay. He met up with two guys that he took back to the theater because that's where he lived. Well, these two guys, they weren't gay. They were looking for money. Well, who knows what happened. But what did happen between these three guys is these guys tied him up. He was naked, beat him to death, left him for dead, and that's where that man died. He stays there to this day. Now, up in this booth, it got really cold when we started to tell the story about this particular individual. And he appeared in photos, not physically appeared, but in orbs. There were no orbs one minute, and the next minute, there were orbs after telling the story. So obviously, there was something going on there. So theaters is another great place. If you're looking for the LGBT, the queer ghosts of the afterlife, check out theaters. So this has been 3 locations: asylums, prisons, and theaters. If you're looking for the LGBT community in the afterlife, check out those this holiday. Well, it's my holiday season because I love this holiday. This Halloween season. You have a great time. Stay safe out there. And until next time, bye, Cublets!
I could go out in the darkness, see you calling my name. I hear you shouting, hear you calling, but it's not the same. Every word that you are throwing right into my back doesn't matter to me, cause I'm keeping my track. Let me go, let me go.